Good morning, Coward High School. It's Coach Sneade. And I have the privilege of coming to you guys together again. This time, sharing a little bit more about my story and becoming a little bit more transparent for you guys to understand me and my why. And hopefully, by you understanding and learning about my why, you may be able to easily identify yours. To begin, I have to go back to 1975. Not only the year I was born, but also the year that my grandfather made a very intentional decision. A decision to move out of the banking business in the Baltimore area and buy a hardware store in North Beach, in a county that had one stoplight at the time. Well, our family, the extended family, to start to migrate down to Calvert County and North Beach in the years to come because we all wanted to be there to help support the new family growing business. And there was something about this opportunity that just inspired us all. So in 1979, I was 4 years old. My mom, dad, and myself moved down to North Beach, and shortly later, my sisters came along and were born, each 4 years apart from me. The business was growing and doing fantastic things as it served our community and loved on the people in North Beach and around us. And we were going to Beach Elementary School and then moving on to Northern Middle and Northern High School. And although we had a humbled life, didn't have a whole lot of things, didn't have the best looking clothes, we did go to church every week and we did eat dinner every night together. I can remember my friends coming down the street, and white and black, we would dribble the ball down the court and play basketball together, or jump in the pool in the backyard, or play Atari. That's right, video console game that you guys probably don't know anything about. But nevertheless, in spite of the fact that we looked like the prototypical healthy American family, we were far from it on the inside. My father was verbally and physically abusive to us all, and my mom was the primary victim. Many times he was asked to leave the house, and my mom, trying to do the right things and forgive and forget and trying to keep our family unit tied together, would invite him back in. It got to a point, though, where people in our church started to recognize the strife that was going on, and somebody had enough forethought to see the impression it was making on me and provided me an opportunity to get out of the toxicity of that home for just a brief moment. He was going to coach his son's Little League baseball team, and he asked me if I wanted to come out and help him. I was a junior in high school. I had never done anything like that in my life. But I wasn't able to play a whole lot of sports in the spring at that time because I had to work. My father, because of his issues, was in and out of jobs, and so I had to help bring some money into the house to support the family. So getting a break from all that nonsense, the adulting life that I had at 16 years old, I thought this would be cool. And man, was it a blast. Quickly, I could lose myself and get absorbed in what was going on that baseball diamond. For 2 hours of practice and 2 hours on games, I forgot about everything. And you know what? It was a great moment. It felt good to pour into others. It felt good for me to tell these young baseball players not only how to play the game, but how to be a better person. Man, that forged a path for me that has never changed. I mean, I've been coaching since that moment to right now. And I look back at it and I see that was a model that my grandfather had set for me. He was a community guy, a guy who used his business to influence and shape others. I wish that was the end of the story and things continued to progress in a positive way, but it wasn't. You know, I was just putting a Band-Aid on my wounds as I would go out the door and carry a baseball bat and a baseball glove. And when I came home, the toxicity was still there. And so I started to go to college and do this and do that and all the things I needed to do. I worked hard, paid my way through school, and my goal was to go to University of Maryland, become an architect because I could draw, and I figured if I made good enough money, then I could pull myself out of the humble beginnings I'd had and not have the financial struggles that my parents went through, and then I could also coach anytime I wanted. Now, Mom would often tell me, though, you love coaching so much, Rick, there's a good chance you should become a teacher. I mean, what better occupation to have if you want to coach than being a teacher? You're around your kids all the time. And I was like, no, you can't make any money being a teacher. Imagine that. And so, crazy thing is that I ended up becoming a teacher, obviously. This is what I do now, and I love it. And it was at the age of 22 that I was working several jobs, make ends meet, going to college, University of Maryland, doing exactly what I thought I'd do, coaching on the side. I mean, I started coaching at Northern High School because I begged and pleaded those coaches, and they probably let me out at way too young of an age, but nevertheless, I was out there and making the same impact on that football field and that weight room that I did on the baseball field as a Little League baseball coach. And my family came together and they looked at me and said, you know what? We're drawing a line in the sand, Rick. You've got to do something about this. Your father, he ain't going to heal. It's 22 years now. Your mom is broken, and if we don't change these things, she's going to end up living a short life. Your sisters are leaving the house, and it's just you. What are you going to do? Like, what do you mean what I'm going to do? I'm coaching, and I'm doing my job to give back to the community. I'm going to go get a degree in architecture, and when I make more money, I'll be able to come back and take care of my mom, no problem. But what am I going to do right now? I got nothing. Well, you might have to give up coaching or something. Like, well, I'm not giving up coaching. I had to make a decision in that moment to stop going to school. And I had a come to Jesus moment with my father and gave him an ultimatum. Of course, constant battles for 1 month led to me ultimately physically removing him from the house. Literally, an argument face to face where I was finally convinced that my love for him and what his love for us should be wasn't enough for him to go get the help he needed. I grabbed him by his shirt collar and I pulled him out the front door and threw his stuff at him and said, "You're not welcome here ever again." Now, you would think I did that out of spite. It wasn't. I love my father. I have not talked to him since that moment. But I did it because I was focusing on what I could influence and what I could change. And ultimately, my mom, and my sisters, my family that was there for me at that moment were the most positive thing in my family. And I needed to water that. I needed to water the positivity in my life. My father was pulling us down, and I couldn't put any more energy into that. I had to make a choice. Later on, my mom ended up getting a divorce, and she changed her name, and I changed my name too. And so if you look at the record books, my yearbook in high school, I'm John Richard Bell III, and now, of course, I'm Richard Wilson Sneade. Wilson after my grandfather, and Sneade, of course, my mom's maiden name. And so that's the attachment that I had to Sneade's Hardware. It's my family's business. My grandfather started it, my uncle owns it now, and my cousins are getting ready to take it over. In the midst of that whole time, a childhood friend, a young lady that we went to middle school and high school with, who was the assistant athletic trainer, and I was the football player. She was the class president, I was the class vice president. We start preparing for the 5-year class reunion. We're now 23 years old, and we hit it off, and we fall in love. Shoot, I'm on cloud 9. Wonderful girl. I'm joining the Marine Corps. One of my dreams. I'm working 2 or 3 jobs, and it's not even bothering me. Going to school. At this point, I've realized, you know what, I am coaching and I'm loving it, and my life has changed. And you know what, it's not about how much money I make, it's about the way I use the means of which I make. It's about living within those means. And so being a teacher, being a football coach, being whatever, I could make it happen as long as I was loving what I was doing. And I loved coaching, and I knew that I was going to love teaching. Well, we got married. I was a Marine in the year 2000, and her family loved me so much. You could see the sacrifice that I made for so long. They said, you know what? We're giving you a fresh start. No longer do you have to worry about working your way through school. Go to school. Get it done. We know that by us investing in you, you will invest in our family, and you'll continue to invest in your community. Man, I was so grateful. For the first time in my life, I had so much weight lifted off my shoulders. Or so I thought. It was ironic, a great year, 2000. Won the state championship in football, and in conjunction with being married. All of this happening in 1 year. I was on cloud 9. That year was also the year in which I went to MCT with the Marines, and I was a platoon guide, another great feat. The leader of 80 other Marines, and I was carrying the guide on. And our mantra, or motto, if you will, was one heart, one beat, one soul. And so I created a guide-on that we carried out in that year that we won a state championship back in 2000, and we still carry that flag out today. You'll see that flag waving on the sidelines, and what it represents is the unity, the bond, the unbreakable bond that stands behind the guys who run behind that flag. Crazy thing is that by 2004, my marriage was crashing. 2002, I got a job at University of Maryland. I'm a strength coach, football coach. Man, I've transcended, man. I've moved on from high school. I'm getting a degree in exercise science, kinesiology, winning the Gator Bowl, the Peach Bowl, won a state championship in high school. And my family life with my wife was far from one heart, one beat, one soul. And you know what's crazy about it? I got into a marriage and I knew that I wouldn't be my father. And I wasn't my father. There was no way I could physically or verbally abuse my wife. But it was the things that I didn't learn by living in a home of toxicity. I didn't learn how to water or nurture a relationship with someone I'm supposed to love. I wasn't intentional about that. I didn't realize that my calling, my purpose as a husband was to actually pour into my wife. To not just say I love you, but to live out the word I love you. We ended up getting a divorce and it broke me. It broke me because as a Marine, you don't fail. As a coach, you adapt. You find a way. My parents' marriage failed. I didn't want it to fail. And the more I fought, the farther she went. It was inevitable. She moved on. But it got me to the flat of my back where all I could do is look up. And I had a major awakening where I learned and realized my true calling, my why. My why had grown. It wasn't just about going out there and coaching, teach people right things. It wasn't just about going out there and hoping that I shape someone's life. It was much more intentional than that. That through teaching, through coaching, I could use those platforms to ultimately transform and significantly impact lives. So I was at Huntingtown from 2005 to 2010. And that's what I did. But I did it in a much different way because it wasn't my program. And although I never had the ambition to be a head coach or anything like that, there were still some restrictions. I knew there's some ways we could do it differently. And at this point, I got married again to a beautiful woman, and we're still married to this day. And bought a house in Port Republic in 2009, the same year we got married. And man, a job opened up at Calvert High School, a place that I had been at from 1999 to 2002. And I just knew that that's where I belonged. I knew that was where my calling was. I knew that we needed to resurge the one heart, one beat, one soul mantra. We had to grow a community that needed some help and love. I needed to grow myself in a community that needed help and love. So I applied for the job and I got it. And we had to start at rock bottom. And that's okay, because all the things we could try to make this thing different and better didn't matter if it didn't work or not. We were still going to try. And we were going to do it the way that I believe was right. The way I was called to do it. See, my why am I here? Why am I a coach? Is to use this school, to use that field, use that classroom to significantly impact and transform lives. Through building relationships, through developing trust, and demonstrating love. Not just directly to you, but in everything I do. So when I see us carry that one heart, one beat, one soul flag out on Friday nights, that's just another reminder of what my mission, what my calling is, my why. Why am I here? I am here through my mission of using our school and our community impact and transform lives to ultimately create a close-knit community that can rise up above and beyond the division that sometimes is created between us. And that's my why right now. But next week, maybe the why shifts a little bit. But I can promise you this, that if you're looking intently for your why, it's going to start with where your gifts and talents are. It's going to start with what you love. And then you're going to realize that if you can tie that in to loving others and building relationships, that your life, although sometimes hard, always hard, that's where we grow, is so much more enriching, fulfilling, and enjoyable. Because when we can take the focus off ourselves and learn that why we are here is simply because we're here for others. So with that, I just want to share my story. I want to be transparent. I want to be completely open. I want to share you my why, so that way when you see me, you can almost be my accountability partner and ensure that everything that I do emulates what I just talked to you about. So with that being said, I wish you guys all well. I love Calvert High. I'm proud to be a Cavalier. And I'm going to leave you with one heart, one beat, one soul. And remember, when you get up in the morning, to always feed that positive dog. Boom!